Hello, New Zealand. It is Guy Fawkes Day today. I've got a bone to pick with New Zealand first. Anyway, good morning to you. Welcome to Daybreak. Yeah, 5th of November, middle of the week. Hope it's been a good morning for you. Hope you had a great sleep. Good morning to Rosie, Michael, Murray, Darren, and Catherine says, don't forget to hit the like button. Let's give that algorithm a helping hand. That's exactly right. Thank you for that reminder, Catherine. That's exactly what you do. You like this video on YouTube, you subscribe to the channel, and then you get the alerts. Sign up for the alerts so that you know exactly when we go live. Right, let's get straight into it. A lot of stories to cover today. Firstly, New Zealand first. New Zealand first. What are you thinking? Winston Peters said in a statement yesterday. Now, you may disagree with me on this, and I'll be keen to hear your views. But personally, I think Guy Fawkes is fine. We've been doing it for decades. We've behaved. There's just a few rat bags, like those kids down in Dunedin, the Scarfies, who are firing fireworks at each other and then turn them on the police when the police turn up. That's not normal behaviour, okay? Deal with that behaviour, but don't ruin the fun for everybody else. But anyway, Winston Peters said in a statement on Tuesday, enough is enough, saying the sale of fireworks had a drastic impact on pets, caused inevitable fires, and havoc on emergency services. He said this is not about nanny state. Well, it is. It's about bringing some common sense into what is desperately needed conversation about the future of fireworks in our community. The interesting thing is that the members' bill, which probably won't get drawn anyway, but anyway, said that sale, manufacture and importation of fireworks for public use will be banned, but public displays will still be permitted. So those poor animals are still going to be subjected to the massive public displays, which are often louder and bigger. Look, I totally disagree with this decision. It is nanny state. We're dropping down to the lowest common denominator of the bad behaviour of a few. I was interested to see that the press today, they try and link this whole pressure on the firefighters and fireworks, but you'll notice there it says multiple blazes have destroyed homes, killed animals, and cut communities off from power in the past few weeks. Nothing to do with fireworks. Just fire risk at the moment. I mean, to me, it's a little bit like saying, well, we need to ban rugby games on Saturday because of all the call outs for our emergency services, all the injuries that happen, and the filling up of hospital wards and ED, and all the claims on ACC and costs of physiotherapists, and broken legs and concussion after a day of rugby around the country. I mean, where do we draw the line on this? Anyway, and I thought it was very interesting that at least one fire truck breaks down each day in New Zealand. Maybe the focus should be on funding our fire service so that it's actually reliable. Personally, if I was a firefighter, I would be stoked with a day like today because I'd think, wow, I'm going to get to put out a lot of fires, if there are a lot of fires. Anyway, I'm totally against a ban on fireworks. I think we're big grown-ups and it is nanny state, and I totally disagree with New Zealand First on this one. And I'm interested to hear what you think. In fact, I can see the comments coming in already. So let's just check a few because I do want some input. Catherine says, I love Guy Fawkes. Maybe limit the time frame people can let them off. Well, the sales are just 2 or 3 days. Oh, the other point is we never have this discussion around Diwali or Chinese New Year. There's no talk about poor animals, noises at night, and fires. It's just during Guy Fawkes. Dee Dee says public displays in a small localized areas. Rosie says horse owners want a ban on public sales of fireworks as when horses get scared, they run and they keep running until they feel safe, run through fences. Seriously, Bob, when this happens, horses are put down. Also, Bob, imagine being in a paddock with a seriously injured horse waiting for a vet to arrive to euthanize it. Catherine says, I still miss those good old rockets. So do I. And Jackie says, at least public displays, you know when and where they will happen, not like days and days of private displays. Tends to be, about 2 to 3 days. Look, I live under the Auckland International Airport flight path, so we're getting constant noise the whole time anyway. Nigel says there is no comment during Diwali or Chinese New Year, which is interesting. Ashen Neen says, I think playing and watching rugby is a choice. With intensive housing, now it's tricky with the fireworks thing. Good point. Intensive housing doesn't help because nobody's got a backyard anymore, have they? I'm keen for the ban. People aren't considerate anymore. And that's a very interesting point, Ash, because really what we're doing is we're saying that our behaviour has got so bad that we've got to take away fun. We've got to have the fun police nanny state because we can't behave anymore. That's an indictment in itself, isn't it? And Dee Dee says, Bob, that's an odd statement. Let's hire arsonists to keep firemen busy. I know. It's just that if I was a fireman, I would actually look forward to Guy Fawkes Day because I'd think lots of fires to put out. Just the same as I think that if you're an ambulance driver, you probably look forward to the really tough cases rather than turning up to Granny who maybe has, trouble breathing or something. I mean, they're both serious. I'm not minimizing either. But you tend to, if you work in a profession, I mean, it's like the police. They like turning up to a big police incident. I'm sure they really don't like stopping cars for doing 12 Ks over the speed limit, right? You know what I'm getting at? Anyway, hope that. And Murray says, yeah, ban rugby. Well, you never know. Are we going to get to that state because of threat of injuries, cost of ACC, demands on emergency departments and medical services? I mean, that's how far the argument can go. Anyway, disagree with New Zealand First on that. All right, let's find something that we do agree on. Amnesty. Amnesty can just go away and shut up quietly. They're now saying that New Zealand has a Trumpian accent, apparently. The boss of Amnesty is in the country and all the left-wing media have immediately rushed to her. This is the Amnesty who doesn't believe in the human rights of the unborn child, is pro-abortion, doesn't believe in the human rights of exploited vulnerable women because it wants decriminalisation of prostitution, is anti-Semitic. There's not a lot going, believes in conversion therapy bans because doesn't believe in free will for people. So as far as I'm concerned, Amnesty International can buzz off. But they're saying that apparently we have a certain big... New Zealand has always been a country that has punched above its weight in human rights terms and solidarity terms, by holding the line on a number of very fundamental questions. Well, that Amnesty agree with, of course. Right now, this is not what's happening. This has led to the government having a certain Trumpian accent. Ooh, Trumpian accent. There are red flags, I think, for the New Zealand people because, the shift can happen very quickly. At Amnesty International, we're worried about this evolution, and they talk about the fundamental challenges that we're confronting, including Israel's genocide, Palestine, or climate. Amnesty International, go and have a chat to Bill Gates about climate. Apparently, it's not the alarmist thing that you have been making it out to be. Anyway, let's continue. We're on a roll. I saw this case and I was troubled by it. So a Wairarapa nurse she posted derogatory comments in 2021 on her personal Facebook where she's got, how many friends? It was something like 85 friends. So she's not exactly a public influencer. And she posted derogatory comments about minorities and COVID-19 vaccines. And she basically lost her job. Disciplinary action. The court said her posts went beyond legitimate public political debate and were likely to damage public confidence in the nursing profession. She was registered as a palliative care nurse. And she described Islam as responsible for terrorism around the world, and she labelled Muslim culture barbaric. Well, look, even if you disagree with that, doesn't she have a right to express that opinion? Just because she's a nurse, what's that got to do with it? 5 further posts criticised COVID-19 vaccines and government policy. Well, haven't we all? Including one where she referred to the vaccine as murderous and another warning people not to get vaccinated. Well, that's her prerogative. She can do that. She's talking to her 85 friends, I think, or 86 friends. Anyway, her appeal was dismissed, and apparently she can't be a nurse because of her personal viewpoints on her personal Facebook page. To me, this is massive overreach. As Darren rightly says here, 1984 again. And yeah, I think you're right. This is an example of nanny state. So not good. Anyway, I don't know if you've seen all the shenanigans going on up in Kaipara, where there's been all these fights, literal political fights, and now there's been actual physical fights in Kaipara around the whole mayoralty election and all that type of stuff. And apparently 2 women were assaulted during the whole process, and it was by an ex-Kaipara councillor. Now, I have blocked out her face because this is not about her per se, but it's about she. She assaulted other politicians. Now, Marama Davidson from the Greens told me that violence was only done by cis white males. Cis white males. This is not a cis white male. So Marama, there's something wrong here. And the other thing is that newspapers and the journalists all tell me that abuse towards female MPs is only it's only towards female MPs, and it's generally done by misogynist guys. This is a female doing physical abuse to female councillors or people who were at the meeting. Maybe they weren't councillors. So the whole narrative has just completely exploded, can't you? You can see that right in front of you. Anyway, I thought it was very ironic. I might email. Oh, you can abuse female MPs. Like the media say that it's misogynistic abuse and only female MPs get targeted, but you can attack them. Journalists at stuff can attack them when they disagree with them. So Andrea Vance can call female MPs the C word when they disagree with what those female politicians are voting for. So just so you understand the rules. I mean, they're hypocritical and they're complete bollocks, but anyway, go figure. Right. The big story this week, of course, was our expose of the number of born-alive abortions that have been happening. Of course, the media have gone crickets, absolute silence. One, because they can't attack what we've exposed, so they can't attack our credibility of releasing this info. But secondly, because I don't want to give it oxygen, because I really don't want it. It goes against the whole pro-abortion narrative. Now, the key argument that people will use is that it's very rare. And if it does happen, it's basically when you've got fetal anomaly. In other words, the child's not going to survive. And so it's what you might call a disability abortion. Now, the problem with that argument is that this study, massive study out of Quebec, which has only recently come out, surveyed almost 14,000 pregnancies over a 20-year period, and it found that the number of born alive abortions in the second trimester was 11%. 11%. And this graph within the report showed the weeks of gestation that they're most likely to be at risk of being born alive after an unsuccessful abortion. So an attempted murder, and they survive the abortion. And you can see the peak points are around the 21 to 23 week gestation mark. And that's the time period that our Official Information Act requests are talking about. Now, the other thing you may say, well, it's not happening in New Zealand. Fact check on that. Rodney Hyde did a very good interview on Reality Check Radio, which is still available on their website, which you can listen to, talking to a midwife who observed it happening, a 24-week-old baby left to die, born alive, And I mean, you know, it's just gut-wrenching to think about. Oh, and the other thing about this report, which is very important, is that fetal anomaly was only the example in 48% of the cases. So 52%, more than half of these born alive abortions were not about fetal anomaly. So just to put that myth to bed as well. Now, we've got our own New Zealand stories. Olga, who we shared at the Forum on the Family last year, and you can see that video on our YouTube channel and on our website. Her mother was given abortion pills, and her mother put them in the roof of her mouth to protect her child. And so basically Olga says, you know, I survived an attempted murder thanks to my mum. And there's also Melissa Oden, who spoke at our forum last year. Also, she survived a saline abortion. So you can imagine she is very pro-life. There were examples given in a Queensland inquiry last year where a midwife turned up and said that she was there. She conscientiously objected to abortion, but she often would go in when the aborted baby was born alive and comfort it. So, yeah, she wouldn't participate in the abortion, but she would come in and comfort it if it survived the abortion. And she said it does happen, and she gave actual examples. And the other thing is that the research coming out now is saying that children are surviving outside the womb at a younger and younger in age. In fact, it's getting down to around 22 weeks. And speaking of that, Lila Rose's Live Action actually publicised this particular story about a baby that was born at 22 weeks.
After 350 days fighting for every breath. This is what Gareth and Caroline Golden have been waiting for. Quiet moments with their son at home.
I tried.
We'll have to get some pictures of you smiling.
Gabriel James Golden was born at just 22 weeks, weighing 1 pound, 1 ounce, only 11 inches long. Doctors warned the odds of his survival were slim.
When I was 14 weeks pregnant, I unexpectedly started bleeding at church, and we went to the ER and found out that I had something called a subchorionic hematoma.
The hematoma caused Caroline's water to break early. She was admitted to the hospital at 22 weeks gestation.
5 days later, I had an abruption, and this little guy was born. So it's that emergency C-section.
From Jackson to...
Yeah, incredible story. 22 weeks. So that's what we're talking about. And I can see a number of you are getting very annoyed at this story. Simply Green, once it's born alive, leaving it to die is definitely murder. Alan says, that is insane. It makes me so angry. New Zealand has allowed this. Catherine says it's evil, heartbreaking, inexcusable murder. Simply Green also says we can debate the abortion thing, but if it's born alive, it is murder. Darren says, whatever way you look at it, it's cruelty, inhumane, and against God's word. And Catherine says, God bless the person who comforts the unwanted. Exactly right. And just back to that story about the nurse that lost her job, Mandy says the nurse that lost her job, this is for her personal private posts on Facebook, her privacy was breached. The DHB used someone to get into her private Facebook account because they could not find her on Facebook. It was all exaggerated lies and bullying. Mandy, get that person to contact me because I might be able to recommend a good lawyer. I'm not sure how far up the legal chain it's got, but anyway, that's a possible option. All right, what are we up to? Just speaking of pro-life, this is a page that was alerted to me by Marina Young from the Buttons Project. It's called Tradies for Babies. And it's basically all these tradies in Australia that have just started putting out pro-life messages. And it's only been going for a couple of months, but you can see there it's almost up to 6,000 followers. And this is the type of thing that they get tradies to do.
Guys, Matt here from Solomon's Tiling, another Tradies for Babies. I've been pretty blessed in life to have 2 kids, and I hope for a couple more. They're the greatest gift that life will ever give you. For you women out there who've had abortion, there's no judgment. I pray you get the opportunity to be a mother one day. And for you women who are wrestling with the idea, I encourage you to have your child. There's nothing you will love like it. It is the most incredible journey. Let's keep standing up, lads. and stand up for our kids. Cheers.
That is very cool. And of course, you know, you're going to employ a tradie who's pro-life, aren't you? This is the guy who actually set it up.
Hey, Tradies for Babies. Just wanted to do a quick shout out and thank everyone for the massive support that we've gotten for our new channel. And thanks to all the tradies that have sent in videos. They've been amazing. If you're a tradie and you've seen our page, please send in some videos about why you're pro-life or what makes you pro-life, or send in your pro-life message. And we want to grow this community to be massive and save as many lives as possible. Thanks.
Very cool. So if you're a tradie watching this right now, here's your challenge. Set up a New Zealand version of Tradies for Babies, and we'll put out the call for tradies to send in their pro-life videos. That will be very fun. Back to the world of the Wacky. Glamour magazine in the UK has put out their latest edition with Women of the Year. The only problem is that of those 9 women on the front page of their magazine, none of them are women. They're all dudes. Yes, apparently they're worried about trans rights facing increasing threats in the UK. And actually there was a very good response from J.K. Rowling, the author. She said, I grew up in an era where mainstream women's magazines told girls they needed to be thinner and prettier. She wrote on X, now mainstream women's magazines tells girls that men are better women than they are. So there we go. Glamour magazine, another useless magazine not to waste your money on. Speaking of that, in Queensland, Australia, 4 and 5-year-olds, when they go to kindergarten, they're being asked for their pronouns. And do they want to be referred to as they, them? I mean, that is early indoctrination, isn't it? I did talk about earlier that there was no interest from the... Hello, honey. Do you want to say hello to everybody? Come on, up, up. There we are. She's saying, when's the walk, Dad? Come on, Dad, hurry up. Won't be long. Okay, back soon. She doesn't mind Guy Fawkes. She just sleeps straight through them, interestingly. Must be a lab thing. Anyway, the BBC. Remember the once great BBC? I think they've suffered a complete mortal blow. Now, they already had, because they had been pulled up, and you may not have been aware of this because New Zealand media didn't report it, but the Australian did, as I say. Read the Australian. It's the one newspaper I recommend in Australia and New Zealand. But the BBC was sanctioned over a misleading Gaza documentary, and the problem was that the narrator was actually the son of a Hamas terrorist, right? So they'd already got in trouble for that, but then it's been exposed that they have deliberately doctored footage of Trump around the January 6th thing. Remember that? Going to Congress, and they deliberately made out that Trump said that the protesters should be violent, when he said exactly the opposite. And the Telegraph has come out with this expose. They've had information leaked to them about what the BBC did. Have a watch this. This is incredible.
Played the following clip.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you. And we fight. We fight like hell.
But Trump didn't, in fact, say this at all. The BBC spliced together 2 clips that took place 54 minutes apart. So let's go through it again.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you.
Now, see there, between Capitol and, that's a cut. Here's what Trump actually said.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
It's different. It wasn't until nearly an hour later that he then said the second part of the BBC's version.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we fight. We fight like hell.
Incredible. And ironically, the BBC are all into tackling information disorder. Now, just before we go pointing the finger at the BBC, and a number of you are coming up with a number of clips. I mean, he actually says in the clip to go down peacefully, protest peacefully, but they don't include that. We've had our own incident in New Zealand with One News misrepresenting Trump as well. And let me just show you this clip from McBlog. The next exhibit was One News reporter Jack Tame grossly misrepresenting former President Donald Trump. He was former at the time of this report, just before the election. His comments about protecting women from illegal immigrants. I'm going to show you Trump's comments in context, where he's clearly saying he wants to protect women from illegal immigrants who are killing innocent people, including many women, whether the women like it or not, likely referring to Kamala and others who allow open borders. So note the full context of his comments, and note that the word abortion is not mentioned once.
Kamala has imported criminal migrants from prisons and jails, from insane asylums and mental institutions all over the world, from Venezuela to the Congo, including savage criminals who assault, rape, and murder our women and girls. Anyone who would let monsters kidnap and kill our children does not belong anywhere near the Oval Office. And my people told me about 4 weeks ago, I was saying, no, I want to protect the people. I want to protect the women of our country. I want to protect the women. Sir, please don't say that. Why? They said, we think it's very inappropriate for you to say. I said, why? I'm president. I want to protect the women of our country. They said, sir, I just think it's inappropriate for you to say, pay these guys a lot of money. Can you believe it? I said, well, I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not. I'm going to protect them. I'm going to protect them from migrants coming in. I'm going to protect them from foreign countries that want to hit us with missiles and lots of other things. Remember.
Okay, so that was a full statement. Now let's watch One News coverage. And the speech coverage is stopped mid-sentence. And listen to what Jack Tame says Trump was referring to.
I want to protect the women of our country. They said. They said, sir, I just think it's inappropriate for you to say. I said, well, I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not. I'm going to protect them.
After Trump's comments around reproductive rights in Wisconsin last night, Kamala Harris was quick to pounce.
Wow. Complete misrepresentation. He wasn't talking about reproductive rights at all. Yeah. So the BBC has just joined the low ranks of One News in terms of misrepresentation. That's why every time you look at legacy media, you've got to use huge discernment. You've got to look through the bias. And yeah, it's just incredible. The TDS is rife, as Foo Dogs Trucking says. Speaking of TDS, just one final video clip. This little clip from what's her name? I have to play it now. Oh, that's right, Nancy Pelosi. Have a listen to this. Nancy Pelosi has got Trump derangement syndrome. She really does hate him. Let me just turn this up so that you can hear it. Here she goes.
Face of the earth, but anyway.
You think he's the worst thing on the face of the earth?
I do, yeah, I do.
Why is that?
Because he's the President of the United States and he does not honor the Constitution of the United States. In fact, he's turned the Supreme Court into a rogue court. He's abolished the House of Representatives. He's chilled.
Wow. He's abolished the House of Representatives. That's breaking news. Somebody needs to tell the media that. Trump has abolished the House of Representatives. Never knew that. And apparently he's turned the Supreme Court into a rogue court because she doesn't like some of the decisions. She wasn't saying that when gay marriage was legalized by the Supreme Court. Oh, by the way, speaking of that, this Friday, the Supreme Court is going to be considering whether they take up the issue of gay marriage at the Supreme Court level and whether the previous Supreme Court acted above their authority. Whew, watch that one. That's going to be fireworks. Now, just before I go, we are out of it's 8 o'clock. I've got to go. Anyway, I just did want to show you this particular message. And this is about fireworks and dogs, because I just said my lab, Honey, doesn't seem to care about Guy Fawkes. She just sleeps through it. Cherie says, my Shih Tzu isn't bothered by fireworks either. He sat outside while my neighbours blew up all their money last night. Now, I'm not sure what's funnier. The fact that the neighbours blew up all their money last night, the fact that the dog wasn't bothered, or Cherie just wanted me to say Shih Tzu on Daybreak. Anyway, I'll leave that to your judgment. We're out of time. Political playback is tomorrow night. You have a great Wednesday and enjoy fireworks tonight. See you.